Why Navy SEALs ride flooded submarines for 12 hours. Somewhere in the Persian Gulf, 6 Navy SEALs are packed inside a tiny vessel. It is about the size of a minivan. There are no windows. The only light comes from a small green screen. The water around them is 58 degrees. They have been underwater for 8 hours. Their fingers are numb. One man has already thrown up inside his diving mask, and they still have 4 more hours to go. This is not a normal submarine. These SEALs are sitting in freezing seawater. They breathe through special gear that makes no bubbles. They are driving a machine that almost nobody knows about. It is called the SEAL delivery vehicle, but the men who use it have another name for it. They call it the Black Coffin. Why would the toughest soldiers in America climb into a flooded tube and ride it through dark water for half a day? To understand that, we need to go back to 1941. To a night when 6 Italian divers changed how wars are fought forever. It is December in Egypt. The city of Alexandria has a huge harbor. Inside that harbor sit 2 of Britain's biggest warships, the HMS Queen Elizabeth and HMS Valiant. Each one weighs 30,000 tons. Each one has massive guns that can destroy anything. The British think these ships are safe. The harbor has nets to stop torpedoes. Patrol boats drop small bombs into the water every few minutes. Guards watch from towers along the shore. Nothing can get through, but something does. Just after midnight on December 19th, 3 strange objects move through the dark water. They look like torpedoes with seats on top. 2 Italian divers ride each one. They wear rubber suits and breathe from tanks that leave no trace on the surface. They call their machines maiale. That means pig in Italian. They got that name because they are hard to control. One of these divers is Lieutenant Luigi Durand de la Penne. He is heading toward the Valiant. Then his breathing gear breaks. His partner passes out and floats up to the surface. Now de la Penne is alone. He is pushing a 500-pound bomb toward a giant warship in total darkness. Running out of air, he cannot go up. The guards would see him. He cannot call for help. There is no one to call. He can barely see the ship above him, but he keeps going. He drags the bomb through the water until he reaches the bottom of the Valiant. Half conscious, he attaches the explosive to the ship's hull. Then the British find him. They pull him out of the water and onto the very ship he just tried to sink. An officer questions him. De la Penne says nothing. They lock him in a room below the waterline, right above where his bomb is ticking. He still says nothing. Only when 10 minutes are left on the timer does he tell them to get off the ship. The bomb goes off. It tears a hole in the Valiant. Minutes later, another bomb destroys the Queen Elizabeth. The fuel ship is also damaged. In one night, 6 men on underwater scooters crippled 2 giant warships. Britain loses control of that part of the ocean for almost a year. The Americans saw what happened, and they wanted that same power. After the war ended, the U.S. Navy started building its own underwater vehicles. The men who would use them were called underwater demolition teams. They were the fathers of today's SEALs. These divers had a simple problem that soldiers have faced for thousands of years. People can only swim so far. A secret report from 1952 explained the math. Big submarines cannot go into shallow water. They need at least 60 feet of depth. But near many beaches, the water stays shallow for miles. A diver with air tanks might have enough oxygen for 2 hours. But if he has to swim several miles to reach his target, do his job, and swim back, he would be exhausted before he got there. He would run out of air before he got home. The answer was simple. Do not make them swim. Give them a ride. The first designs were rough. Navy teams built them in garages using whatever parts they could find. The Mark V, the Mark VI, the Mark VII, each one a little better than the last. The Mark VII started working in 1972. It could carry a pilot and 3 passengers. It had a body made of fiberglass and special metals that were hard to detect. A battery-powered motor pushed it through the water. But here's the crazy part. This was not like a regular submarine. Regular submarines have sealed cabins with air inside. The SDV was completely different. The whole inside fills with seawater. The riders sit in the ocean the entire time. They breathe from air tanks attached to the vehicle or from their own diving gear. Think about driving a car while it is underwater. Now imagine doing it in complete darkness for 12 hours straight, in water cold enough to make your body shut down, while enemy boats pass. above you. The Mark 8 SDV came out in 1983. It is still used today. The vehicle is about 22 feet long. Most of the space inside is filled with batteries and computers. What is left holds 6 SEALs and their weapons. The pilot sits in front. He uses a metal stick between his legs to steer. The navigator sits next to him. He watches a sonar screen that only shows black and green shapes. Behind them, 4 more SEALs sit facing backward. They cannot see where they are going. They just have to trust the 2 men driving. All of them wear flight suits, the same kind that jet pilots wear. This is not random. If they get caught, they say they are pilots whose plane crashed. This lie protects the submarine that dropped them off. Speaking of that submarine, here is how the whole thing works. A nuclear submarine sneaks close to enemy waters. On its back sits a big metal tube called a dry deck shelter. This tube is 38 feet long and weighs 30 tons. Planes can fly it anywhere in the world. It takes about 12 hours to attach it to a submarine. The shelter has 3 parts. The front section is a medical chamber for hurt divers. The middle section is a small passage. The back section is a garage where the SDV waits. When it is time to launch, divers climb into the shelter while the submarine hovers at the right depth. They flood the garage with seawater until the pressure matches the ocean outside. Then a big door opens. There is nothing between them and the dark water but the mission ahead. The SDV slides out on metal rails. Helper divers push it away from the submarine and let it go. The pilot turns on the motor, and 6 men in a flooded tube start their journey. Their target might be 30 miles away. What happens to their bodies during these trips is hard to believe. One former SDV operator said he lost 15 pounds during a single 12-hour dive. The cold water sucks heat out of your body faster than you can make it. Your blood vessels squeeze tight. Your blood pressure drops. Your kidneys work overtime trying to keep your fluids balanced. You get dehydrated even though you are surrounded by water. You can get seasick underwater. It sounds impossible, but it happens all the time. The SDV rocks back and forth just like a boat on the surface, but you cannot take off your mask to throw up. Lungs would fill with water, so you learn to vomit inside your mask and keep breathing. Talking is almost impossible. The pilot and navigator use hand signals in the dark. They can only see each other when the dim green lights flash. The sonar screen shows blurry shapes. Learning to read those shapes takes months of training. One wrong move can kill you if you rise just 6 feet too fast. The air in your lungs can pop them like balloons. The navigator spends the whole trip doing math in his head. How much battery is left? Where are we now? How much air does everyone have? If he gets the numbers wrong, 6 men die in the dark. No one will ever find them. But this brutal machine works. It has proven itself in real combat. During the first Gulf War in 1991, SDV teams did secret missions to find and destroy underwater mines. On February 23rd, a 7-man SEAL team used their SDVs to trick the enemy. They made the Iraqis think a beach attack was coming. It worked. Iraq moved 2 whole divisions of soldiers to defend the beach. Meanwhile, the real attack came from a completely different direction. In 2003, during the Iraq War, SDVSEALs did something incredible. They swam underneath giant oil platforms in the Persian Gulf. They parked their vehicles under the structures and spent hours taking pictures. They mapped everything the Iraqis were doing. The next night, other forces used that information to capture those platforms without destroying them. The men who do this job are rare even among SEALs. There are about 2,600 Navy SEALs on active duty. Only about 230 of them can operate SDVs. After finishing regular SEAL training, which already kicks out most people who try, SDV candidates go to another 3 months of school. They learn to dive and navigate the Mark 8 in conditions that would scare most humans. Many of them fail even at this stage. The skills needed are that unusual. Pilots must keep the vehicle at exactly the right depth, while currents push it in every direction. Navigators must look at green smudges on a screen and know exactly where they are. Both must do this while slowly freezing. SDV operators have an odd reputation in the SEAL community. Regular SEALs deploy overseas again and again. SDV guys spend years in extra training before they even join a team. Other SEALs joke that by the time an SDV operator finishes all his courses, His classmates from basic training are already on their second war deployment. The machines themselves used to break down constantly. One commander said that in the 1980s, his SDVs only worked half the time. Batteries died, electronics rotted from salt water. Things got better by the 1990s. But the basic problem never went away. Salt water destroys everything eventually. Still, nothing else can do what the SDV does. Helicopters make noise that carries for miles. Boats show up on radar. Swimmers can only go so far before they run out of energy. But an SDV can drop a team on an enemy beach without leaving any sign at all. It can wait underwater while the team does their job. Then it can pick them up without ever coming to the surface. The Navy once tried to build a more comfortable option. Starting in 1994, they worked on something called the Advanced Seal Delivery System. This was a 65-foot mini-submarine with a sealed cabin. It had air conditioning. It could carry 16 seals. They would arrive dry and warm instead of frozen and exhausted. It cost $160 million. In November 2008, the only working ASDS caught fire in Hawaii. It burned for 6 hours. Fixing it would have cost over $230 million. The Navy canceled the whole program, but they still needed something better. And now, after years of trying, they finally have it. In May 2023, a new vehicle became ready for real missions. It is called the Dry Submersible. This machine is 39 feet long and carries 2 crew members plus 8 seals. The big difference is that the inside stays completely dry. The DCS has 3 sealed sections. The front holds the SEAL team. The middle has a special chamber where divers can enter and exit while the vehicle stays underwater. The back is where the pilot and navigator sit. Operators do not need wetsuits during the trip anymore. They can talk face-to-face instead of using hand signals. They arrive at their target feeling normal instead of half dead from cold. The vehicle can travel over 60 miles on its batteries. That is 3 times farther than the old wet SDVs. The company that built it says passengers arrive warm, rested, and ready to fight. But the old vehicles are not going away. The Mark 8 is still used. So is the newer Mark 11, which started service in 2020. These wet vehicles still matter because they can launch from existing submarines. The new Dry Submersible is tube for that. It has to be dropped from ships on the surface. Different jobs need different tools. Some nights you need total stealth. Nothing hides better than a flooded tube that makes no wake and shows nothing on radar. Other nights, you need fighters who can still move after they hit the beach. The SDV teams are getting ready for a new kind of war. For 20 years, SEALs mostly fought terrorists. The next war might be against China or Russia. In that kind of fight, SDVs could sneak operators near enemy ports. They could drop sensors on the ocean floor to track warships. They could attach bombs to ships sitting at anchor. They could scout beaches before a big invasion. The same tricks that worked 80 years ago still work today. 6 men on underwater scooters crippled 2 battleships in Egypt. Today's SDV teams use much better technology. They launch from nuclear submarines that can get close to any coast on Earth without being seen. The operators breathe special gas mixtures that make no bubbles. Their vehicles run on electric motors that are almost silent. Former SDV operator once said that the vehicles are not glamorous. They are uncomfortable. They take a huge amount of work to operate, but they do something that nothing else can do. The men who work with them, he said, are a national treasure. Right now, somewhere in the world, Navy SEALs are probably climbing into a black fiberglass tube. They will flood the inside with freezing water. They will seal their masks and check their air one last time. Then they will sink beneath the waves on a mission that no one outside their group will ever know about. The Italian divers who started all this were captured after their attack. De La Pen spent years as a prisoner. But after the war ended, something strange happened. The British Navy gave him a medal for bravery. The men who came after him in America and other countries built something amazing from what he started. A skill that exists nowhere else. A brotherhood of warriors who choose to climb into flooded submarines and ride them through darkness for hours and hours. They only come out when they reach their target. They call it the Black Coffin for good reason. But the men who climb inside have another name for it too. They call it home.